Hello, my friends. How you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Sticks and stones. I wanted to make a short video today for you about a situation that I saw that was kind of disturbing because it's a reflection of what's happening in our society today. And I want to start by sharing with you three phrases that when I was young growing up, I heard young children use. I don't know if they taught them amongst themselves. They must have learned them from parents somewhere or older children. But these are phrases that children used as a way to defend themselves when they were out in public. The first one you're familiar with: sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Kids would say that when they were, insulted by another child from a very young age. The other one, maybe less popular, was they'd say, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. A silly little phrase, maybe not quite as popular. And the third one that I would hear, and this from a young age, maybe kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, super young age. See, once kids became teenagers, they would just say, F off, and they'd either walk away or they'd get into a fist fight. But the third one was, I know you are, but what am I? So some little child would say to another one, oh, you're stupid, or you're silly, or something like that. And the other child would say, I know you are, but what am I? And they'd keep repeating that. You'd hear a kid say it over and over and over again. I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? And it was kind of like just reflecting the insult. But they used that for a purpose. They used that to build resiliency so that they were able to ignore the insults that they were facing. Because children, as they're growing up, it's a bully environment. It's an environment where they're learning the limits. They're learning acceptance. They're learning to deal with rejection, both at the same time. And they're finding the friends they can get along with and the friends they cannot. They're finding out who the bully is and who to stay away from. And this is something that was learned as you went through grade school, elementary school, and then as you got older, you dealt with it, as I said, in different ways. You'd know how to preempt it. You'd know how to walk away and say, I'm not going to hang out with that person because they insult me. But today, it's a little bit different. Today, people say that words are violence. This is the brainwashing that is coming out of the woke ideology. They say if you use these words, those words are violence towards this group of people, and you're not allowed to use those words. No, 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 no. That's against the law. Somebody said, violence is not a subjective feeling. Violence is an objective fact. Do you agree with that statement? Violence is not a subjective feeling. It is an objective fact. In other words, violence is a physical thing. You get accosted by somebody. You get hurt physically by somebody. It's objective fact. Either the person makes contact with you or they don't. Violence. But it's not a subjective feeling. If you say, oh, I feel hurt, that person was violent towards me with their words. That's a subjective feeling. Violence is not a subjective feeling. But the world today wants to make violence a subjective feeling. So why do they want it to be considered violence? So that they can ban it, so that they can control it, so they can restrict it. And again, this goes up the chain of command to the totalitarian state that wants to be able to control your speech. They want to implement thought crime, so that if you think the wrong thing, if you say the wrong thing, then you are guilty of a crime. Here in Canada recently, we had a young male, I believe he was 16 years old, Catholic boy, going to a Catholic high school. And he had his own thoughts about guys and girls, whatever his thoughts were. It shouldn't be all that important from the state's perspective, but the state got involved. And the state power trickled down through to that school. And the school said, you're not allowed to think this way about boys and girls. You're not allowed to speak this way about boys and girls. And so they kicked him out of school. But what ended up happening was he went back to school. And they said, oh, if you're going to come back to school, you have to agree to the way we speak here. Because if you speak that way, you're going to offend these group of people that have these other beliefs. And for those groups of people, if you speak that way, you're causing violence to them. And so he didn't agree to those terms. He said, I want to say whatever I want to say. And so the police came and arrested him. How different it is today from when we were growing up. And when we were growing up, the kids would say harsh things. You know, the harshest things they could think of. But they used those 3 phrases to build resilience. I know you are, but what am I? You know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Meh, 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 meh. And those were good teachings for kids to tell them, hey, forget about words. Ignore the words. Walk away from the words. Solomon said in Proverbs that there's a person whose words are like knives, whose jaw teeth are like knives that devour the poor. So it's talking about probably a higher level adult, a political person that devours the poor, he said, with their words. So in other words, somebody making policy and speaking about things that can be detrimental, that's a little different, right? When you have a political leader that's speaking a reflection of their policy, saying, we're going to treat these people this way, we're going to treat those people that way. That's a cause for protest. That's a cause for rebuttal. But even that's not violence. It can be very harmful. It can be very damaging. Yes, of course, absolutely. There are words that are as painful and as dangerous as knives that, of course, as adults, we want to be aware of and take into consideration, of course. But something to consider. Are we resilient? Or are we giving in to the totalitarian control of the state that says thought crime is real? Thought crime is a danger. Your words are violence. We probably have to go back and look at our constitutions of our countries, Canada, the United States, other countries. What does it say in there about the rights of citizens? What does it say in there about the right to free speech? What does free speech mean? We need to be strong. We need to teach our children to be strong, to be resilient, to be able to walk away, to be able to ignore the haters. Like I said before, you're always going to have haters. There's people being trained today, indoctrinated, brainwashed into the psychology of hate, into a world of racist ideology. They call it critical race theory. They call it different things. And as soon as they get indoctrinated into that, it is almost impossible for them to break out of that. Because now they have their weapon of choice. Now they are a victim, and they can walk around pointing fingers and trying to find who they can accuse of thought crime. Useful idiots for the state, promoting totalitarian power and control of the state over what a person is allowed to say or not say, what a person is allowed to think or not think. Something to consider. So spend time with people you love, people that you can joke around with, and not worry about causing them violence. Love one another. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Have a great day. I love you. Bye bye.